Hello, dear students. I hope you are all doing wonderful at home. And coming to the class, in our previous class, we had learned about chlorophyll. We said chlorophyll is a green compound and it is present in the leaf. And this chlorophyll is able to absorb the light energy, and using that light energy, plants are able to perform photosynthesis. And we have shown even how this chlorophyll is very essential for making the food, for making the photosynthesis. And other raw materials that are required for photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water. We are going to see how this carbon dioxide is absorbed by the plants. The plants are able to take this carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. But what is the composition of carbon dioxide present in the air? So like nitrogen is 78%, then oxygen is 20.9%. And what is the composition of carbon dioxide in the air? So you are going to tell to me. So later on, we are going to see this carbon dioxide which is present in the air. This is taken by the plants using the stomata. So stomata is a structure. These are the tiny pores present on the leaf surface. So they are present on the leaf surface using these pores. What do you mean by pores? They are openings. So pores are openings, and using these pores, plants are able to get their gases inside and they can also send the outside. So this gases exchange is occurring through this stomata. So stomata is helpful in exchange of gases during this photosynthesis, because during the photosynthesis plants need carbon dioxide, and these plants, they get this carbon dioxide for photosynthesis through this stomata. So exchange of gases occurs even on the stem, root and other parts also. It is not only in the leaf, the exchange of gases can occur even in the roots, even in the stem and other parts. While exchange of these gases, plants or even animals, we lose some amount of moisture, we lose some amount of water. So like suppose we also have a respiratory system through which the gases exchange occurs. So in this during this breathing, what happens is we are releasing out the carbon dioxide. During this release, if you keep a mirror underneath your nose, you might notice that we are also releasing out some amount of moisture, and this moisture is indicating that we are releasing out some amount of water vapor. So we are releasing some amount of water in the form of water vapor. So we are also losing some amount of water. So does these plants. They also lose some amount of water when they are exchanging the gases. So this losing of water is also a concern for the plants. That's why they need to regulate the loss of water. So in order to regulate the loss of water, they need to have certain organelles. Like suppose when we are breathing out, if you see when we are breathing out in the cold, when we are in the winter, if you see when we are breathing out, we release some amount of smoke, and this smoke is nothing but this is this is nothing but the water vapor, and it is condensed due to extreme cold outside. So there is nothing but the water vapor, and this water vapor is a sign that we are losing some amount of water from our breath. So while breathing, we are losing some amount of water. So does the plants. So how do they control this? How do they control this loss of water? So plants, they control this loss of water by adopting opening and closing of stomata. Okay, so they open and close the stomata. So when do they open? Whenever there is photosynthesis happening, they open the stomata. So when they are not performing photosynthesis, they close the stomata. So we are going to understand how this opening and closing of stomata, how is it regulated, and who is regulating this closing and opening and closing of stomata. So if you see the structure of stomata, the stomata is made up of two guard cells. So the bean shaped structures are nothing but they are called as guard cells. So here, so guard is referring to protect. So guard cells are for the protection. They are like security guard, safety guard, or the guard we are using bodyguard. So guard is usually used to protect. So in these stomata also they have guard cells, and these guard cells, they are protecting. How do they protect? They are regulating the opening and closing of stomata. And when they are regulating the opening and closing of stomata, so they are stopping the loss of water. And whenever they are not performing photosynthesis, they are stopping the loss of water because they are closing the stomata. So here, So the opening and closing of pore is a function, or is it is regulated by guard cells. Guard cells, they are bean-shaped cells here, which are present in the stomata, and they are present in the there are two of them. They are present, and they are creating the pore, and they are opening and closing it. The guard cells, when do they open? The opening and closing of the guard cells we are going to understand now. So if you see here, so if you see here, there is water here. The blue patch here is water. So they are having lot of water here. So when these guard cells, then they are getting water from the adjacent cells. From the adjacent cells, they get enough water for them. So when they have enough water all over the plant, these guard cells also get a lot of water from the adjacent cells. So when they are having this water in them, this water is making the guard cells to swell. So it is like when the guard cells are having the water, they are swelling. As they are swelling, they are opening the stomata. So here the opening of the stomata is occurring when the guard cells are swelling. When the guard cells are swelling, they are opening. And when do these guard cells swell? These guard cells are swelling when the water is present in the when they have ample amount of water. Okay, that's how these guard cells are opening. So when they open, this carbon dioxide is coming inside, and then oxygen is going outside. So gases exchange occurs continuously. Meanwhile, they also lose water. So okay, so plants, they lose water when the stomata is open. So H2O. So plants are losing some amount of water when they are taking the carbon dioxide. So in order to avoid that, they need to close the they need to close sorry so these CO2 and these guard cells, they need to close to avoid the loss of water. So in order to avoid the loss of water, they need to close the stomata. So when do they have to close the stomata? When they don't need carbon dioxide. So when plants are not performing the photosynthesis, they don't need carbon dioxide, so they are closing the stomata. But how is this mechanism adapting? So if you see here, these guard cells, they don't have much amount of water. So when the water is lost from them, when the water is taken away from these guard cells, they are shrinking. So here, the water is lost from these guard cells. Therefore, these guard cells, they are shrinking. So from here, when the water is lost, they are shrinking and they are coming back to close the pore. So the this stomatal pore is closed when the guard cells are shrinking. So these guard cells, when they shrink, they are closing the stomatal pore. And when are they closing it? When are they closing it? When they don't have water, when there is a deficiency in the water, they are closing it. So plants are usually whenever they are not having enough amount of water, they close these stomata so that they don't lose a lot of amount of water. So that's why whenever we give the watering to the plants, we give the water to the plants early in the morning. In the early morning when the sunshine is bright, we usually give water to the plants because they are able to perform photosynthesis. Meanwhile, they also to take a lot of water, and a lot of water is also gone through these stomata. So that's why we are giving water to the plants in the early morning times.